Hello and welcome. Thanks for joining us for another Spotlight Series video. I'm James Green, partner at ActualTech Media, and I'm excited to host a conversation today about application security, which I think you'll agree is a very important topic today. So before we get into the real meat of the conversation, I'd like you to meet today's guest, Dean. Dean, would you tell us a little bit about yourself and Oxeye? And then I've got some questions for you.
Sure thing, James. So first, thanks for having me on your show. I'm Dean Agron. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Oxeye. I've been in the cybersecurity landscape for the past 15 years in R&D roles, business roles, partnership roles, and consulting roles. Now, Oxeye is here to tackle a major problem, and Oxeye actually provides an application security testing solution to overcome the challenges imposed by that same architecture, to make sure no vulnerable app actually reaches production.
Now, Dean, you've been in the cybersecurity space for a long time, and you've seen how, especially with regard to applications, as things have changed, security has gotten more and more complex. How would you say the nature of modern application architecture affects security?
So today we can say that cloud native is the de facto standard for building new applications. Now the shift from the monolith applications to the cloud native applications actually make a lot of changes, or made a lot of changes in the way that we need to test vulnerabilities. And why is that? In the past, we had a chunk of code over a server. Today, the code is distributed. It's multiple components, some built in-house, some outside third party, on top of containers orchestrated on top of a cloud environment. And that shift has a major reflection on the way vulnerabilities are like. In the past, vulnerabilities started and ended in the same piece of code. Today, it stretches over multiple components on top of multiple infrastructure layers, which means the prioritization and the criticality understanding of the vulnerabilities in the code is a much more complex process.
And because of how many people are involved in writing the code and where the code lives and runs and all of that, it seems to me like, in a way, we're expecting modern developers to also be security professionals and to be able to write secure code. And the fact is, while they all try their best, I'm sure, without being full-time application security people, there's a lot that they don't know, and that's probably putting too high of an expectation on developers. So, what is your suggestion for what we do about that to help developers create secure code without having to be full-time security professionals?
So you're absolutely right. The shift left movement, which puts the security ownership on top of developers, requires also changes from us, the security personnel, and the security products. Because just throwing reports of vulnerabilities, long list of vulnerabilities on developers, telling them you need to resolve these, won't make any change. We need to provide developers, first thing, a short list of critical, exploitable vulnerabilities, and to provide them clear remediation guidance, how to reproduce the vulnerabilities, where exactly in the line they appear. And that's what we are doing in Oxeye.
And I gather that there are some existing tools to do the things that you describe. How do you see Oxeye as being different from those tools that folks might already be familiar with?
So Oxeye focuses on cloud-native applications. It is designed to overcome the distribution challenges, provide the coverage that existing tools which were built 10 years ago were just not designed for. Code is everywhere, it is distributed. You need to analyze multiple components and multiple layers and actually, add context to the vulnerability assessment procedure. And Oxeye is built and designed to do that, where other tools are mostly focused on, analyzing and scanning code without any visibility or assessment of the surrounding components and the underlying infrastructure layers.
That makes perfect sense. If folks are watching and they want to learn a little bit more about Oxeye, what would you recommend they do next?
So I would, of course, suggest you browse to oxeye.io. You can download our data sheet. You can also set up a quick demo, 10 to 15 minutes demo to show you what it's all about. We would congratulate on that.
Very good. Well, Dean, thanks so much for joining us today to tell us a little bit about Oxeye, and I appreciate your perspective on how to secure modern applications. Thanks, everybody, for watching, and thanks again, Dean.
Thanks, James.